The Swedes eat fermented herring, the Sicilians cheese with live worms, the Spanish eat bull testicles, and the Dutch, well, they like their prime minister medium rare if we have to believe the history books. This is the story of how the Netherlands ate their ad interim prime minister and still keep his tongue and toe on display in a museum. So straight to the man of the hour, Johan de Witt. How did he get dragged out on the street and cannibalized? Well, the year this all happened is 1672, known as the rampjaar or disaster year in Dutch history books. So it couldn't have all been his fault, right? Let's backtrack a little bit and start about 20 years earlier, in the year 1653. The tiny, newly formed Republic of the Seven United Netherlands had just won an 80-year-long lasting war against Spain and gained independence. Formally, the title of Prime Minister did not really exist. The seven lands were united under a person called a stadtholder. The stadtholder was more or less a monarch, chosen by other nobles. Even the first republic in the world wasn't really a republic after all. The first stadtholder died after 3 years, and his son wasn't born until 8 days after his death. So the Netherlands entered the first stadtholderless era, meaning the new young country was effectively without a leader. And what happens if there is no boss? The next in line powerful person takes his place, which in this case was the Grand Pensionary of Holland, the mightiest of the seven Netherlands. He was called Johan de Witt. In conclusion, Johan de Witt was not officially the prime minister, but he was the acting leader while the country sorted out the situation. Internally, the Netherlands were politically deeply divided. On one side, what we could essentially see as Republicans, led by Johan de Witt, and on the other hand, the monarchists, who wanted the old monarchs in power, led by Wilhelm III of the House of Orange. In case you wondered why the Dutch sport the orange color at football matches. In regard to foreign affairs, the young country wasn't much better off, as every European nation wanted a piece of their colonial action, which had made the Netherlands filthy rich. All of this accumulated in the disaster year of 1672. The English attacked a Dutch commercial fleet, and the French had recently made peace with the Spanish, so they decided to march on the Netherlands as well. All the unrest in the tiny nation led to a power move by the monarchists. First, Johan de Witt's brother was jailed by political opponents of the two. When Johan went to the prison to visit his brother, an angry mob had gathered outside. They burst inside the jail and dragged the brothers out. They were beaten with gun butts, stabbed with pikes and shot through the head. After both of them had died, their clothes were ripped off, they were dragged to the gallows and hung upside down. Their bodies were ripped open and they were castrated. Finally, parts of their limbs were cooked and eaten by the mob. According to sources who were present, the butchering, cooking and consuming of body parts went along in a rather calm and orderly fashion. Nowadays, historians suggest that it was not just an angry mob, but rather a planned conspiracy by the monarchists who wanted to get rid of the De Witt brothers. In case you cannot get enough of this gruesome story, the History Museum of The Hague proudly displayed the tongue and toe of Johan de Witt as part of their collection to prove that the proud Dutch indeed did really eat their prime minister. Thank you for watching and see you next time in history.